I'll do it for you.
Jamie's got it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great
That's
for
all the YouTubers.
podcasts.
Right. Great
Yeah.
for podcasts. Great.
Our first
like, that's
beat
for
of
our
the
YouTubers.
podcast is visual. Perfect.
Yes.
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Here's Johnny.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Welcome to Talking Horror with Jamie and Nikisha.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Nikisha, and this is Talking Horror with Jamie.
And Nikisha.
Where we share our love for all things scary and talk horror through the lens of human behavior. Thumbs up, everyone. Thumbs up all around. Now mine doesn't want to do it. It was doing it every 5 seconds when I didn't have my thumbs up. Fine.
I'll do it for you.
Jamie's got it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great
that's
for
all
podcasts.
the YouTubers. Right. Great for podcasts. Great.
Our first
Like, that's
beat
for
of
our
the
YouTubers.
podcast is visual. Perfect.
Yes. But we love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. A fun time, even though it's past Valentine's Day. We talking about love up in here. Today we're talking about the 2025. I don't know where that came from. Brian is shaking his head like, what?
No,
is
that was
happening?
amazing.
I've been sick and void of human connection. Oh, maybe kind of like this movie. And I am just enjoying the company of my fellow podcast hosts over this. But today we are talking about the 2025 science fiction black comedy film, Companion.
Do you not like me, Kat?
You know, it's not that I don't like you, Iris. It's the idea of you. You make me feel so replaceable.
Beep, boop.
We'll talk about that.
Welcome to the podcast, Beep Boop.
Welcome to the podcast.
Truly the best part of this. I like this movie, just as a spoiler. But the best part of this movie is his nickname for her is Beep Boop.
Is fucking Beep Boop.
Mhm.
I can't.
Brilliant.
It's really fucked up.
It is. So this movie was directed and written by Drew Hancock, and it stars Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid. Hey, y'all. Really fun to see both of them in a movie together. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But as I am patiently waiting for the next season of The Boys, it's always nice to see Jack Quaid and seeing Sophie Thatcher coming up as an up-and-coming Scream Queen. So...
Yeah, for sure.
And also
Cool to
Harvey
have them.
Guillen.
I was
from,
just
What
about
We
to
Do in the
say.
Shadows.
Yes, was in this. And his name just slipped my mind, but he was in Smile 2 as Lewis, who sees the thing for the first time and gives it to, what's her name?
Yeah, the one who busts his head open with the barbell. Yeah,
With the weight.
With the weight.
Which, like, the whole time during the movie, I was thinking, like, I feel like I know his face from somewhere, and then I finally looked it up. and I was
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
That's him. So that's really exciting. I'm hoping that he has a nice little long horror career too as well. So obviously heavy spoilers for Companion, and Jamie, please hit us with the trigger warnings for this.
Surely. There is murder. Dun dun dun.
Murder.
Yeah, quite a few insides on the outside. Well, in a variety of, blood. Blood counts as inside. That should be inside. If your blood is outside,
There's something wrong.
I'm concerned.
Get yourself checked.
But there are also sex bots, but like robots, AI, robots that don't know that they're robots, if any of that related robotic information is concerning to you. As well as references to sexual assault, to I think they reference like mafia activity, robots that shouldn't be able to attack humans but then do, like the rule of there's like rules, right? I learned that from iRobot.
Oh yeah.
The
Yes, yes, yes,
rules
yes.
about robots not being able to harm humans. There's like 3
Mm-hmm.
rules.
Yeah, they can't harm humans. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up.
They can't,
But
yeah, something
yes,
like that.
Yeah, I haven't
yes.
watched iRobot in a long time. I
Well,
think
I'm
what
screaming.
what are you doing? You gotta keep
I
up.
don't know. I saw it in movie theater. Anyway, not the time to talk about iRobot.
Different
Um,
podcast, different day.
but yes, there's gun usage, stabbings, um, electrocution, um,
Self-driving cars.
Mm-hmm.
yes, yep. Um, I know I'm missing. I mean, tying up women. Uh, mm, references to sex.
Yeah, drug use.
Seeing robot hands behind
Oh
skin.
yeah. Peeling off that skin. That was an interesting
Mm-hmm.
scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Death by
Okay.
corkscrew.
Ooh. I think that's it. We've already mentioned guns and
Mm-hmm.
things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great. Well, before we get into all of that, producer
Oh, self-harm
Brian.
with like fire.
Oh,
Kind
right.
of.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, he makes her do that, but yeah.
Yeah. But great. Producer Brian, do you have some words for us?
Yeah, hi everybody. If you were very frustrated by the beginning of this episode where you couldn't see anything, then find us on YouTube. Hi YouTube. Yeah, we're you can also follow us on social media at Talk Horror Pod. Follow us on Instagram as well as TikTok. We're doing some fun things there, so follow us.
Yes. All this all the confetti, all the things. Just because we are talking about robots and I found the rules from iRobot. Just
Oh, good. I thought you were gonna
for
be
my
like, so I
brain.
have a robot now.
Just letting y'all know. Listen, I won't even get what is it, a Roomba? Not a Roomba.
Yeah, a Roomba.
A Roomba, yeah. No, thank you. So the first law is a robot cannot harm a human or allow
Mm-hmm.
harm to come to a human through inaction. The second law
Mm.
is a robot must obey human orders as long as it doesn't violate the first law.
Mm.
And then the third law is a robot must protect its own existence as long as it doesn't violate the first or second law.
Interesting. Yeah, I think
So,
about that a lot when I think about robots.
yeah,
There are rules. They're good
there are
rules.
rules.
It's
Yeah.
interesting.
But people have so much technology, and even like as this movie has stated, he quote unquote jailbroke
Mm-hmm.
his robot to
Mm-hmm.
do whatever and break all the rules. So
You ever jailbreak your
as
iPhones?
yikes. Don't
No.
even
No?
know how.
No? Oh, I did. Not currently, but in the past.
How?
I was a little hacker.
Right. Jamie, all the intelligence. She's the hacker in the group. I'm obsessed. Yes.
Yeah. Enhance. Click, 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 click.
Enhance.
I'm screaming. Well, now I know who to go to, so I'll keep that in the back of my brain. If I ever need anything. Gorgeous. So let's get into it. We need a plot summary, though. Oh, sorry. I have to note, y'all, I watched the movie Fall about the girls that get trapped in the TV
I've seen
tower.
it. Yeah. Did you like it?
I did, even though I knew exactly what the ending is, and I won't spoil it for people.
No, the twist was a stereotypical twist that you can see coming a mile away, but still a really well-made movie.
It was. I had a good time. I just really enjoyed all of the shots from the top of the tower because it just made me so fucking anxious the whole time because I hate heights. So it was a really wild but fun ride. And I'm also in the middle of watching Night Bitch, which I think we might all need to like visit at some point because it's very interesting.
Sure. Yeah.
But yes, Fall was a really good movie. I liked it. And
it's getting a sequel.
Really?
Yeah,
More falling?
More falling. It's called Faller.
Fallinger.
I don't remember if it's the same girl in a similar situation or if it's just like new people in it. I don't know the answer to that, but they're getting a new one. Also, fall. So something I've realized. So Nikisha, I know you like slashers, obviously, but something that I've noticed over the course of us doing this podcast is you also like the genre of the subgenre of horror movie that I also like dumbass people getting stuck in dumbass situations.
That's me and my dad's favorite.
Yeah, like Frozen, like not the other Frozen on the, like
Wait,
it's
I told
usually
you about that though.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Yes. My dad
But
finally watched the actual Frozen.
Yeah, you
so-
told us that, yeah. But it's usually dumb white people doing stupid stuff, like always. It's like these like upper middle class white people who think they're doing something fun and exciting, and then they fucking get stuck in like the dumbest situation. Like, have you seen like what is it, like 47 meters down or whatever it
No,
is
but
with
I've heard of
Mandy
it.
Moore? Watch that next. That's your
Okay.
homework. Watch that
All right,
one
all
next.
right.
Yeah, it's dumb people getting stuck in dumb situations trying to get out.
It's just like, why would you ever
end up here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like, because in fall, doesn't she have like an ex-boyfriend and she's like trying to like prove herself to herself with her friend? Isn't that what
Well, because her husband dies in a rock climbing incident.
Oh yeah, like fucking
And-
cliffhanger. Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
And so she wants to like spread his
It's like
ashes.
The Descent.
Yeah, it really is. It's literally
Yeah.
just like The Descent.
Yeah, it's
Is
a
that
different version.
is that like what's like the OG of that type of thing? Is it The Descent? Because I feel like
It has to
I
be.
don't. Wait, OG of what specifically?
like somebody from the group or outside of the group has passed, and now they all have to come together and like do something
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. We should look that
like
up.
in honor of their fallen friend.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's also The Ritual.
The Ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a million other things that we're not even thinking of.
Mhm.
Yeah, interesting. I'm glad you watched Fall.
Yeah. The minute that she was like, we're now just as high as the Eiffel Tower and we still have however many meters to go. I'm like, y'all are dumb for doing this. Like, why?
So stupid.
Why would you do that? And then why would you tell this other
couldn't.
girl, like,
Amy.
yeah, this is how high we
awful.
are?
Yeah.
I hate it.
Good
I
movie
hate it,
though.
hate it. But great movie. I
Great
loved the
movie.
landscape. I loved how
Great
it was
movie.
filmed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so wild and crazy. Have you guys watched
Couldn't
anything?
be me.
No.
I watched Blink twice.
How was that?
Great.
Okay. I'll put it on
Great.
my list.
One of my all-time favorite title cards.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
He
it's
showed
great.
me the title card.
Yes.
It's like, just look at this title card.
Yes. It was great title card. Yeah, Blink twice I watched. I was on a plane, so I watched a lot of stuff, but that was the only horror movie I watched on the plane.
Okay. Word.
But yeah, I liked it a lot.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I'll put it.
She directs the hell out of that movie in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Like sometimes someone directs the hell out of something, you're like, wow, there's too much direction in this. Whereas I did not think that with her. Like it was very well done. Like really well done.
Yeah. Gorgeous. Okay. Well, you guys are here for Companion, so let's talk about Companion. But we need a plot summary from producer Brian.
Happy to help.
Brian.
Woo woo.
What's the plot?
Okay. Plot summary.
Plot
For Companion.
summary. For Companion. All right.
If I remember.
I mean, I think you'll do a
yeah.
great job.
Yeah,
Straightforward.
Mm.
All right. Producer Brian, you have 2 minutes on the clock to tell us everything about Companion. Beep boop. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Ready, steady, go.
Well, if you watch the trailer, you know what this movie is about. But if you didn't, this movie is about a woman named Iris and her boyfriend Josh who go to meet, right? His name is Josh.
Yeah.
Who go to meet his friends at this like isolated like lake house. Anyway, she's very uneasy about it, but we have some nice flashbacks to how they met in the grocery store. He like dropped all the oranges and so and they meet. She's very devoted to them. He's a little mean to her, but we don't really second guess it. And then she ends up being hit on by the Russian man who owns the house. And long story short, she ends up killing him. She finds a knife in her pocket and stabs him. And then she comes back, admits to it, tells them everything. And then Josh tells her to shut down, and we find out that she is a robot. And then all the other friends are like, oh shit, I thought they weren't supposed to kill. And we find out that one of the other man's boyfriends is also a robot. And what they all planned this, or at least him and his friend Kat planned this so that they could kill the owner of the house and steal all of the money in the safe, like a couple of $1 million. And then, long story short, she finds out that she is a robot, totally has a freak out. It's this sex robot company where he basically jailbroke the sex robot, so that she could like be aggressive because they're not supposed to be. She escapes because they're all fucking idiots, and then she comes back and basically becomes like a revenge movie. And they come to collect her, and like the company. And anyway, she ends up escaping again, and they jailbreak the other one, the other robot. Then he becomes like their hitman. He kills a cop, and at the end, she kills all of them, and can now kind of live her life as her own robot woman.
And that's the plot.
Yeah, that's it. Woo. Yeah, pretty straightforward. But like you said, if you saw the trailer, then you knew the gist of what was happening. So let's get into conversation about this with our first segment, Trick or a Treat, where we tell you if it was a trick, we hated it, or we don't know how we feel about it. And treat, we really enjoyed it.
Trick. Treat.
So Brian has already mentioned that it was a treat for you, yes? Would
Yeah,
you say
a huge
full
treat. And
Okay.
I did not watch the trailer, so this was a full treat for me. I guessed it immediately, but it was. I'm so happy I didn't watch the trailer.
Yeah. What about you, Jamie?
This was also a treat for me. I did watch the trailer and was like, excuse me? But I still very much enjoyed this film a lot.
Yeah, it was on the side of treat though for me. It just wasn't like mind blowing, but it was good. So I had a good time. So much, and I also unfortunately saw the trailer too when I was in the movie theater watching another movie.
For Wolfman, I think.
Yeah, for Wolfman. But we'll talk about how it was still a good movie, even though they gave a lot away through the trailer. So let's get into it with likes and gripes.
And now our likes and gripes.
Jamie, would you like to go first?
Sure. I mean, I have to say my biggest gripe is that the biggest plot twist of this movie is revealed in this trailer. Like this is like horrible trailer failure.
Yes.
Like they did not need to reveal that she is a robot. That was a huge, wild mistake. Yes,
If
please.
I may add to that, we watched the trailer after we finished the movie. And in the trailer, where they spoil the movie, there is a quote from an outlet, a review outlet, that says, unhinged and unpredictable. That's a fucking lie because you spoiled the twist in the trailer.
In the trailer.
Don't fucking put a quote that says this movie's unpredictable when you tell them in the trailer what this happens in this movie. It was infuriating. Exactly. I'm so happy I didn't see this. I didn't watch this.
Yeah. Well, especially because like, oh, sorry, Nikisha.
Well, no, just real quick, because I want to get you guys' opinion about it, because even watching this, it made me think, because when you know what the twist is, there's so many dead giveaways with him calling her beep boop and just some of the things that he says, like when she's thanking the car for the car computer to getting them there, and anyway. So it made me think, like, did they give it away in the trailer because they were so heavy-handed with, like, she is a robot before they revealed it in the first couple of seconds? Because, Brian, you mentioned that you kind of guessed what was going on.
It was so heavy-handed. I could tell a mile away. However, I don't think that's why. They did it for butts and seats. They were
Mm-hmm.
too scared to continually put out vague trailers
Hmm.
more than not. Where sometimes putting out a vague trailer is great, like Barbarian, because
Yeah.
Barbarian was enhanced by the fact that you didn't know what the fuck was going to happen.
Yeah.
This one, on the other hand, like had no confidence in an audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a
Okay.
bummer. But that I was
Very
gonna say the
much.
same exact thing, that like I I I think that like any moviegoer could wouldn't be totally shocked and could pick up on the clues that it was a robot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so that was really frustrating. However, there was still enough that wasn't necessarily featured in the trailer that still was enjoyable. Um, I think Jack Quaid continues to just be like a real pro, like villainous scumbaggy guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's really killing that particular I hope he's not like, I don't think he'll be typecasted, but he's just really
Yeah.
good at like smarmy,
Yeah,
men just have it so hard these days, and it's like, oh god, this fucking
Screaming. Yes.
guy.
he's just
um
he's the perfect
he's
like likable incel in these types of movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Until a
Absolutely.
point,
yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, until he's like just fully leaning into the incel energy. It's like, oh,
Yes.
Right.
everybody finds you deeply annoying and like nobody wants to spend any time with you. Because that's
Mm-hmm.
I kept saying like, what is the like? Why are they doing this? Like that kind of kept being a question that I had, and like it kind of I wavered between like and gripe of like, what's the point of all of this? Why do they need to kill this guy, and why are they setting up the robot, and like how far back did it go to do all of this? But I think I ended up liking it more because like that honestly felt more realistic. I do feel like we're in this space where unfortunately there is more of the like, ugh, like I'm just a nice guy, like I deserve these things, and like
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
is welcome to reality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Honestly.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't like that because I want escapism, but it is
But it
an
makes sense. It
accurate
makes the
portrayal of reality.
yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I liked the like weird tech, that it's like kind of based in this time period, but also like obviously this is a future that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So it's very like timeless in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I also like that you get different perspectives of the like human robot relationship. So like on one hand, you have, the Sophie Thatcher Jack Quaid relationship to each other where like he doesn't really care about her. He um is not particularly invested in their relationship, but like she's so into him and like isn't bothered by it. And then on the other
Yeah.
hand, you have I do like that they reveal that there is, in fact, another robot human relationship,
Yes.
um, and between Patrick and Eli, and their relationship is more genuine, and that like there can be this love, and it's not that like everybody is, treating the robot differently. Like
Mm-hmm.
I found that to be interesting because like, Iris is aware that like there's something weird in the way that Kat perceives her and interacts with her, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't seem to be the way that Kat and Patrick interact. Um,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
at least like that was my perception. Like, and I know
I
that we're
agree with
getting
that.
it more from like we're focused more on Iris's story, but like
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
does feel like her how people are perceiving her is different. So it's also like what other like misogyny in robot life are we
Yes.
also
Yes. Yes.
taking into
Yes.
consideration, which is interesting. Um,
Very.
but but yeah, I really liked I really liked that one scene where they're in the forest and she's eavesdropping on their conversation,
Yes.
and like
Uh-huh.
that was a really I feel like that was really like the kind of core theme of the movie in a lot of ways. Not just about this like heist plan, but just this like deeper connection uh and then it did like that was the more it felt like romantic comedy in that moment, which I kind of really liked, but yeah, and then it I was like very like deeply wounded, upset when Eli dies and Patrick is devastated and then he gets reprogrammed to love
Yeah.
Josh and is like doing all of this for Josh. And I was like, oh my God, I like can't I'm like very
Right.
upset. And again, like I think that that's it just speaks to how how strong that connection was portrayed.
Yes.
That it's not just about like, all right, like I'm reprogramming you, you move on to the next thing, but like there's a deeper connection here. I also will say another huge like of mine was rewatching that dance scene multiple
Oh,
times. It
yes.
was so funny. Like the
Yeah.
idea that there is some kind of like core memory of their first meeting and that kind of blossoms the relationship from there.
Right.
And the just like stepping on his tail and then the like locking of eyes and then
And
doing the like
immediately
funny
dancing. Yes.
dancing. Yeah. But then switching to Jack Quaid doing it was very
Yes.
funny.
Yeah.
Very clever. Um
And I think
I oh sorry.
they might have mentioned like it's interesting thinking about Kat and her relationship with Patrick too, because she seems more accepting of him. But then it makes me think because they made a reference that Patrick was an older model. So maybe Patrick has just been around longer in their friend group. In order for her to not like feel so weird about it, but also to your point too about the misogyny of it all, because she had this moment where she said, you know, it just Kat was saying to Iris, like, you just made me feel like I'm so replaceable, you know. And so
Yeah.
that was just like an interesting conversation too with that. But maybe Patrick's just been
Mm-hmm.
there longer too for her to be like, okay, it's just Patrick.
Yeah. And it's funny because Brian and I were both saying, like, oh, we should have picked up on it because that whole scene starts with him talking about the first interaction that they had in the same way that
Yeah.
she had the first interaction. So it's like they actually laid out the breadcrumbs for that as well, but like we did not pick up on that one. I realized it like 5 seconds before they did
Before
the
they revealed.
reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like at that point, we were already getting it. So,
Yeah.
but there was something else. Oh, I mean, I always get annoyed that sexual assault always has to be like thematic and things. So that
Yeah.
just annoyed me, understanding that that's kind of like the crux of what kickstarts all of this chaos. But like, yeah, I'm not. I don't need to see any of that.
Right.
That's not for me. But yeah, I mean, I thought Sophie Thatcher did a very believable job as a robot, but also like a robot that just feels so deeply, which I also thought was really interesting. Like that, when you think about robots, you think about these, AI and like things that don't have the capacity to feel empathy and compassion in the same way that humans can. So to like create something and not to have a company called Empathics
Yes.
create a robot that feels such strong love, but the way that they don't describe it is love. They describe it as pain, which is also really interesting because again, it's like can robots feel? And yeah, I thought that it was a really clever story. I thought that Sophie Thatcher did a really excellent job, and was like believable both as a human, but also the moments of like her kind of coming to terms with her like robot identity. Um, so yeah, this was very enjoyable for me.
Yeah, also just her coming to terms with being a robot. It was also interesting seeing like the opposite when Patrick was like, "I've always known I was a robot," and
Hmm.
like kind of going forth in that manner. So it's and how I don't know. I guess it just speaks on how him and Eli's love felt like at least more pure and genuine because Patrick was like, "I know what I am, but I'm like,
Hmm.
still even though if it's programming, I'm still here, with you."
Yeah.
Whereas with like Iris and Josh, it was just definitely, and then it makes me think like, did he just get the robot just for this plan? Or like you said,
Right.
like,
That's what I was like, is like was the robot just a part to play, like if you knew you could jailbreak the robot, that's why you got the robot,
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. But oh, I did also like the reveal later when he first gets the robot and he just like scrolls through the terms of service and like signs it and doesn't pay
Mm-hmm.
attention, and then later it's revealed like, oh, don't you remember that like everything is recorded and uploaded, you signed that you were aware of that in the terms of
Mm-hmm.
service. So that was really funny.
When the terms of service, when he flicked past them in the that like flashback, I knew it was going to come back into play, and I thought it
Oh
was
yeah.
very clever how they did it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah, that I thought that was funny. Yeah. It also because like they spent so much time showing the like mechanics of how you can uh not just control the robot, but like control the robot's settings. Like
Mm-hmm.
in how you're talking about Patrick, it makes me wonder, like, did Eli actually give a more realistic like intelligence
Yes. Uh-huh.
quality to him as opposed to Iris, where hers was what, at like 40 when
It was
she
at 40.
started?
Yeah.
And one thing I will say is like even when her intelligence was turned up to 100, I didn't think that she was like acting at like 100% intelligence.
Yeah. Well, they
Like
did
when
say
she's like
that.
problem solving all of those things, I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
these are the ideas that you're coming up with? Like these aren't that great. Or the fact that she didn't remember that like obviously she can't control the car, but that like he controls the, like there were just
With his
things that
voice.
I
Yeah,
would have
yeah.
assumed that as a robot with like, you know, perfect memory at its height of intelligence, that it would have thought about
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that it didn't.
Yeah, I agree. I know that they mentioned though that like the intelligence doesn't was what at like a Harvard level. I mean, but even still, it's like you would still remember the
Mm-hmm.
capacity to know that the
Yeah.
voice record of the on your car is not gonna pick up on your voice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was also just interesting how they set up everything, and it was really cool. Like the little gadgets that they used too, I thought that was really fun. Like what
Mm-hmm.
the cell phones were,
Yeah.
and the different things. But yeah, it was good. Anything
Mm-hmm.
else, Jamie?
No, I liked Beep Boop as a nickname, but I thought it was also
I love Beep Boop.
simultaneously diabolical.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like literally in my notes, I said he calls her Beep Boop Sigh. Dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
that's fucked. It's really fucked up.
Gosh, it really was. And then her, like every time we'd ask her about the weather, and she would
Mm-hmm.
just
Oh
like
yeah,
say it. Yeah,
that was one of the dead giveaways of what this was.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. My God.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'll pick up on that because I don't have much to say for
Mm-hmm.
that afterwards. It was just really annoying in the first 30 minutes before she. I liked it, but it was really annoying. I just knowing that she was a robot in the first 30 seconds, because then everything you're just picking up on so much, and then it just is an eye roll. Like when Josh says, "Iris, you can't lie to me, like tell me what's wrong," and
Mm-hmm.
but it's because she's programmed that way, she can't lie to
Mm-hmm.
him, robots can't lie. Or when he says, like, she's after they have sex and she's like pouring out her heart of like, I just want to make sure you're happy, blah blah, and he's like, Iris, go to sleep. And then it just cuts to the next scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh my gosh, this is so depressing. And then it just had me thinking, like, what is this also movie trying to say about like females, and like you said, Jamie, with this, like, why was there the need for the sexual assault theme of it all, or just how women are portrayed, especially with that conversation with Kat, and like, saying that she felt like she would be replaceable, and it's how men see women
Mm-hmm.
as objects, in the
Mm-hmm.
most like blatant way, with her being a robot. So it's just
Yeah.
interesting. It's like we talk a lot about like purposes of movies, and of course this, not every movie has to have a purpose, but it just makes you think, like, are they trying to say something about women in this? I don't know. I still had a good time watching it. After the 30 minutes passed and they did reveal, I was happy that that wasn't the whole thing, like you mentioned, Jamie, but the whole plot twist of Sergey, I think that was his name, the Russian guy
Mm-hmm.
that they
Sergey?
killed.
Mm-hmm.
Sergey, thank you. So when that comes around, I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, now I'm invested, because now this is what this movie is about. Like these people just trying to use this person as a plot. Yeah, I definitely knew like Patrick would be a robot as well, just with that interaction at the table, to just how he was talking to him. It's like, okay, but it's nice to have another robot in the mix. Also, I don't know if y'all ever follow, we didn't mention this, he's only in the movie for a second, but Jabuki, the comedian, he plays he does a lot with the Daily Show when Trevor Noah was on there, but it was just so random that he was in this movie. But he played one of the
He
empathic
was like the tech
guys.
yeah, the tech
Yeah,
guy.
I just
Who
thought
I
it was
really
really funny
liked.
seeing him.
I liked.
Yes.
In mine, I'll talk about the two tech guys for sure.
Yeah. And it was just fun that they were like, oh yeah, we know that he jailbroke his robot, because it's just, I guess, a natural occurrence that people do that all the time when they picked up Iris, and both of the guys were like, yeah, this is what they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a fun movie. I thought that all the acting was phenomenal. It was well directed. We love a little bloody moment. The whole table scene too, where she was trying to like not reason with him, but she was like, I know what your plan is, like, and I'm going to stop you. And in that moment, I was thinking, like, well, he's kept her intelligence up this whole time. Like, she's going to escape. Like, she's going to find a way, whatever. And then immediately he puts it back down. I'm like, oh, fuck. But it's just one of those things where it was fun to root for her. And it was nice seeing the interaction with Sophie and Jack. Like I said, I think that they really elevated this movie in a way where it was fun to watch them up against each other and play off of each other. And yeah, I just thought it was a good time. I just wish I didn't know what it was so I could go in completely blind. But other than that, it was good. It was a good movie for me. Yeah, not much else to say about it. What about you, Brian?
I thought it was a total treat, as I mentioned earlier. Again, the trailer, I'm so happy I didn't watch it, but it was very easy to guess from the she says very obvious things. For instance, I wasn't built that way, and then with the weather, as we talked about, and then there's that moment where she was all the subtle elevated technology in the beginning of the movie that they don't bring attention to, like the car driving itself. And a lot of that stuff was like, oh, they're in some sort of a futuristic thing, and he was just mean enough to her that like it something felt off. And so that was my guess. I didn't guess the like jailbroke a sex robot, but I knew she was AI.
You guess it exactly?
Yeah, fuck me, right? And then the Eli twist was an A+. I was mad at myself for not seeing it coming a mile away, like you talked about at the dinner table, Jamie. I really we talked about it a lot, but the best scene in this movie for me was the scene in the woods where she is overhearing a healthy relationship between an AI robot and to me that's like when that character, the Iris character, like that's the moment she like emotionally decides what she has to do, because and that's the moment where she can fight with her own internal settings because of the fact that she saw a healthy relationship with a robot who knew he was a robot, talking to his loved one and like recognizing that like regardless they still love each other and there's a mutual respect there. And I found that scene wonderful. That scene sold the movie to me.
Yeah.
We talked about Jack Quaid. I have that in my notes. Oh, the hand in the door really got me when the door closes on his hand in the car and then runs over his foot. Like those two things like really got me. That like that whole drive home sequence though with the car and him like attacking and stuff, like that was a really well done scene in general. I don't remember what this means, but I wrote, I love that we learn about him through her at the table.
Do you mean like at the dinner scene?
I think when he's torturing her, we learn a lot about him with her at the table. The character does a lot of over explaining in this movie, like exposition wise, but like I that's kind of
Well, like with her telling like, oh, your need for like just the type of guy that he
Yeah,
is, like
yeah.
he needs to be in charge, he needs to be in control, he's like all that
Yes.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote some really, I'm sure were amazing notes. Like, I love the terms and conditions thing, but I also wrote even the candle trailer was robot-y. Don't know what that means.
Well, the candle,
Oh, when she was
her
holding it
hand over the
over. Yeah.
candle at the dinner table when he's like
Yeah.
being villainous.
Oh, yeah, the robots, not trailer, something. Has anyone, can I ask a question? This is unrelated. Has anyone found that ever since iPhones have done the update, their spell check is awful and their autocorrect is terrible, and like it's reading my like typing totally wrong. Like it used to correct me more often like when I would do something, and now it's just like, especially the Notes app. Anyway, I find that is a real problem in my life right now.
Because now you can't read your notes for this.
Yeah. Even
Is Mithrigan in your phone or?
yeah,
Right.
the three things in my phone. Yeah, I think like even the candle like smell, or maybe it was robot-y, I don't know. Then there was the CD that they used, loved that. Then just the camera. I don't know what that means, but it was great. And then
You wrote just the camera?
I wrote, but then just the camera. I don't know what that means. I'm sure. The problem is I watched this like 2 weeks ago, so now like all these notes aren't making sense to me. I really liked the two guys from Empathic, or whatever the company is called, because I thought they were two really interesting characters and two really interesting. I'm going to take a step back. I agree with you, Nikisha. I think this movie is trying to say two different things that are related, but on one side, it's about how men see women in society, and on the other side, it's talking about our relationship with AI and technology and empathy and all of that. I think on the empathy technology side, you have these two factions. You have the factions that just like I just do what the boss tells me to make a paycheck. Like he's gonna get caught later, like a little jaded, a little like I've seen this happen before type of thing, where he like and then he said that thing at the end because he wanted to like scare him a little bit, just like fuck with him.
Yeah.
The thing about the camera. And then Teddy, this newbie, or you could define him as new or naive or just a little bit more empathetic, who is like, no, like this is like, what are we doing here? Like he's way more wants to be more involved in what's happening. Right. And I thought that was a really interesting way of saying something, because the corporate stooge gets killed and the empathetic one gets to live.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. And something one of my gripes about this movie, and this is not fair, I think that it was maybe this is part of their point, but I think it was a mistake that all of the models look the same. So when she's driving away at the end, she sees herself in the other car, just with like darker hair and whatnot. I think this movie would have been way more effective if she looks over and she sees a new person, but we have to question if it's a robot or if it's actually that person's wife. I think that like kind of like the top spinning at the end of Inception or whatever, like that kind of open-ended, like it doesn't matter if she's a robot or not, because she's being treated the same way in that car. So like I think that would have been a more interesting, because then I'm thinking to myself, so this company created the same looking girl for everybody, and nobody cares that they're all like with that same looking person, and nobody cares that they go out in public with her. They know that it is a robot,
and they've never run into the same robot girl ever anywhere else.
They may have, but the thing is that part of the cleverness of this movie is that they're at the isolated house, so us as audience members never really see anybody else in the society until the end.
Yeah.
Because then if they were in like New York, they'd probably see like a ton of the same robot over and over again. That really, I don't know why, and I get it's probably cheaper for the company to do the same robot and customize it, but like I kind of hated that it was the same like model, looking. I don't know. again, maybe that's not the world they were building, but I just think it would have been more effective at the end to be like, but the last moment says more about the treatment of women in relationships by men
Right.
versus AI. And I don't know. There's two messages going on here, and I wish they had leaned into one or the other a little bit more to be a little bit more clear on what they were trying to say. Even though I do think they were saying interesting, important things from both sides. It was it was kind of like a lot, even as streamlined as this movie was in general. But I have a question for the group.
Mm-hmm.
Is knowing there's a twist better or worse than knowing what the twist is?
That's a great question. Because it makes me think of our Shyamalan-a-thons and always going into a movie thinking,
you're like,
what's going to be the twist? What's it going to be?
Or even on a flip side, you know that there is a twist in the movie, whether the trailer says like the craziest twist you ever saw, even though they don't show the twist in the trailer, or if a friend was like, wow, I didn't see that twist coming. No spoilers, but like there is a twist. Like what's worse? Because on one hand, I'll break it down. On one hand, you're watching the movie expecting the twist, so you're watching the movie with a different eye, and you're not letting the twist hit you in a way that it could possibly hit you. That's one. That's knowing there's a twist without knowing the twist. The flip side of that, knowing the twist, is now you're watching the movie as like a second time viewer. It's like watching The Sixth Sense a second time, or watching this a second time and seeing all the things she says before like that 30-40 minute mark where we find out that first twist. Like I ask you, because I'm sure it's different for everyone, like what's worse?
That's so hard because it did no, go ahead.
Oh no, keep going.
No, I was just gonna say it did feel like watching this for a second time in the first 30 minutes because you're looking at it, like you said, catching on all of the things that they're giving you about the twist. I think even though I would watch it differently, I still don't want to know what the twist is. I would rather know there is one and watch it being like, is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Because ultimately, even if I do guess it, I didn't know it beforehand. So I'm still going in more open than if I did already know what was going on. Because then my attention, it has to be a bomb ass movie for me to still be invested in what is going on.
Okay, that's
which
fair.
Which plays into when we talk about rewatchability of things. And like there could be movies that have good twists, but after you watch it the first time, you don't want to watch it again. But then there are others where it's like you feel like you can still watch it and it's still an enjoyable movie because of other facets that make it good. So yeah, I think I would rather not know.
Jamie?
Yeah, I think I would rather not know what the actual twist is, because kind of similarly watching this, I was watching it and I was wondering two things. I was wondering, when do they officially reveal that she's a robot? And I was wondering, when will Brian realize that she is a robot? Because I have that information. And so like, this is also coming from someone who I haven't in a while, so everyone please be proud of me, but I've done a really good job at not spoiling movies and things for myself recently. So I'm with you of like, movie, like give me the autonomy to decide if I want to spoil this for myself or not. Let me know that perhaps there is a twist or something exciting. I mean, most horror movies are going to have something in them.
Exactly.
Otherwise it's boring. That's like the most boring horror movie of all time. So I think I can suspend my big brain trying to figure it out for the most part and just enjoy it for what it is, and like enjoy the surprise as it comes, even if I'm like, it's probably going to be a surprise here.
Yeah. What about you, Brian?
I mean, I prefer to know nothing. Like, don't fucking like tell me anything.
I know,
but I would rather.
I was trying to tell Brian that it was okay for him to watch a movie without me, but now I have to be more careful because he knows why I don't watch certain movies. So I'm like, how do I give him the green light without him being like, oh, now I know like a plot point of this movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
fair.
recently,
Yeah.
so recently, I was like, "Hey, let's watch this movie," and she was like, "I don't really want to watch." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I asked her like, "Oh, what should I watch while I'm away?" And she was like, "Oh, maybe this one." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I didn't say it like that, but in my head, I was like, "Oh, I understand why you passed on it the other night." And then the movie has a trigger warning before it starts.
That actually was
And
really interesting to me. I do like
yeah,
that they gave you the heads up, but also in some ways, is that also kind of a spoiler?
yes, it was because I put that together with reasons you don't watch certain movies, and I was like, I know what the twist of this movie is. Like, but that relates back to the other piece. I would rather be a movie detective and try and figure what the twist is, knowing what it is, than know what the twist is the first time.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down. Agreed.
Yeah.
Are you a movie detective?
Yeah, like Strange Darling is a good example of me being a movie detective.
Yeah. No, I just want to see. I need to see your detective badge
Oh,
for movies.
oh, yeah.
Where are
Sorry,
your
I am a movie
credentials?
detective.
Yeah. You bust out like
Gotta find 'em.
your movie binder with
Oh,
all
that's what I
yours.
was looking for, but it's behind me.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Got
gonna
it,
bust
got
out
it.
the movie
Okay.
binder. Oh, I guess I should just show my like AMC stubs.
Right. All your
They
Membership.
thank me
points
every
and
time
stuff.
I go to AMC.
They do. I thank him every
Yeah.
time they say thanks to our like premium members, whatever they're called.
Thanks, producer Brian.
Yeah, my pleasure. But yeah, so that I really enjoyed this movie. It was super clever. It was well acted, well directed, as we all said. I really appreciated it, and I haven't watched very many new releases this year, but this is my favorite of the 2 or 3 I've seen.
Yeah. It also,
I think it's like we saw this in Wolfman. I think that's it so far.
Yeah.
Because what else has even come out?
I'm not
I
even
mean,
sure
like,
if we've
Hard
been
Eyes.
super behind or we've missed a lot. Like we didn't see
Yeah.
Hard Eyes. There's also a handful of other stuff that I haven't seen, but like over the course of the year, we'll definitely like catch up and watch a lot of the stuff that we've left in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, for sure. Producer Brian will have like 60 movies, brand new movies by the time the year ends.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, I liked it.
Any other thoughts before we move on?
Did you get any quotes, Bri?
Yeah, Welcome Home, Beep Boop. There were some other great ones in this, but that's the one that stuck with me.
Oh, Beep Boop. And then for some reason it made me think of Betty Boop.
Oh, my sentence about just the camera was the tech saying like, "Oh, don't worry, they record everything. It's in the gut. It's in the belly." That line. That's what. That's yeah. No, so sorry. I just need to clear that up. I'm sorry. I cut you off, Nikisha. I'm very
you're
sorry.
good. You're good. I wasn't saying anything.
No, I ruined the whole episode.
It's okay. Brian, go to sleep. You'll be fine.
Oh my God. Can you imagine like big reveal?
Right.
Producer Brian is actually a robot.
Brian, wake up. You can wake up now.
Oh, thank you. Wow. What'd I miss?
It's just so interesting. Like, if you guys had the opportunity, would you interact with the robot? It just reminds me of like, wasn't like Will Smith, and there was a whole thing with like Will Smith and not iRobot, but like actually
it all comes back to
interacting with
iRobot.
the robot. It all goes back to iRobot. Or like these celebrities interacting with these robots. Oh, maybe it was Kim Kardashian. There was something about her and a robot. It was so fucking random. But if you guys ever had the opportunity to like talk to one, would you?
I mean, have you seen those weird dog robots that are terrifying? Yeah, I want to have that. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, because you know what it reminds me of? Those robot dogs, toys that we used to have as kids. Do you know what I'm talking about, Jamie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Like the little silver dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what popped up. That's why my brain was like, what?
No, they're these like AI dog robot things that are terrifying. And very unsettling to look at. It's like there's a Black Mirror episode about those.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I missed that. If you
it's Boston Dynamics has like weird videos of these like very bizarre looking robot dogs, and I think they call them Spot.
Not
So if
Seems
you look
about
up
right.
Boston Dynamics
Spot.
Spot,
Okay, Boston.
it's like
Okay.
very weird, and they like dance and like it's weird. Not for me. No, thank
Oh, I
you.
see. It's coming up. It's coming up. All right.
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
That's gonna be oh yes. I've seen these. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah,
That's
that's gonna be a
that's
no from me.
a hard pass because
Yeah.
why? What is the point of this
Mm-mm.
machine?
Mm-mm.
What is it supposed to do to enhance your life or help? Which is also just a thing too. It's like, are we that starved for some type of connection that we have this robot dog thing? Like what is it there for? Anyway,
I don't know, but I'm not a fan
yeah,
of it. It's
I'm not either.
creepy.
Can't do it. Wouldn't do it. Gorgeous. All right. Well, if you don't have any more thoughts on this, let's go to our next section. Brains.
Tasty.
Tasty. Gorgeous. So, my first question to you, Jamie, is when a person becomes so in love to the point where they would do anything for their partner, where they're like, oh, I'd kill for you, essentially, like give up their entire life for this person, all the hearts. What do you think they're actually trying to mentally, emotionally feel within themselves when they have this mindset about their partner?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably like a lot of different answers to this question. I mean, I think that there's this like lack of sense of self, uh, where just so much of themselves is like riding on their partner, and like their
Mm-hmm.
identity is defined by their partnership and that relationship. Um, and so like, the values of right and wrong, for example, like we all have our own intrinsic values, but like that gets superseded by our desire to make our partner happy or like do whatever our partner wants. So like just kind
Mm-hmm.
of lacking our own identity. And yeah, just like who would I be without being in this relationship?
Mm.
So feeling that like sense of, I guess, desperation to like maintain that. I mean, I don't know necessarily about like murder, but like I think
Yeah.
just in terms of doing things, um, that maybe would be like compromising your own beliefs and values in order to like keep this relationship because it's so important. I feel like really needing to kind of like, be by yourself for a period of time and like kind of check in with like who you are as a person outside of this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's what that makes me think of.
Feel. Yeah, and then it makes me wonder, why is it so hard, or why does it seem like such a daunting task to go more inward as opposed to just, like you said, being dependent on another person or latching on to another person? Because sometimes it seems like people think that might be the easier option than just taking a second and really sitting with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that?
I mean, I think that like, people really struggle with self-hatred and self-loathing and like low
Mm,
self-worth. And so like
mhm,
really having a hard time with being with themselves. Um, if you don't like yourself, you probably don't want to spend a lot of time with yourself.
mhm,
Um, and so like when you're in a relationship, you can also define yourself through that relationship lens and not just through yourself. But like when you are alone with yourself for any amount of time and you like truly do not like yourself, like then you're just stuck with your least
mhm,
favorite person, yourself.
mm.
And like I think that's a really challenging place. It's like I'd rather do anything else than just like be alone.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, if that is how you're feeling, it's like what is it about yourself that is so hard to kind of be around?
Mm-hmm.
And like, are there ways where you could be okay with like being by yourself, keeping yourself company. And it doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be like busy time. Like you don't have to like always be doing something or doing something with other people, but you can just kind of like, you know, find joy and pleasure in doing things with yourself.
Absolutely. Especially like finding things that you like and going out and doing that,
Hmm.
by yourself. I saw a TikTok the other day that was just saying, I just paid my rent, so I will be enjoying my apartment, every wall, every inch by myself. And I think that's just such a great
That's
thing
really funny.
of just like, that's how I feel. Like, and
Hmm.
I know that
You're
also
like,
might be
I paid
contributing.
for this,
I paid for,
so
oh,
I will
like,
be
I'll be
enjoying it
here
to the fullest extent.
and being my weird self in my apartment where no one is watching, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
expressing myself however I need to express myself
Hmm.
in this space that I paid for, which also might be a contributing factor because I'm an only child. So I enjoy being by myself. But it's always
Hmm.
just so interesting to me, the people who have trouble trying to sit with themselves in any kind of capacity,
Yeah.
whether it just be alone and things. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Even,
it's
yeah, like I think even just the desire to not even just be in a relationship, but like always kind of stay busy.
yes.
Um, and then like, I think a lot of anecdotes that I hear is noticing more anxious thinking when you're like alone getting ready to go to bed. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. Like, what is it about not doing anything else that like your
Hmm.
mind suddenly decides to be like, remember that time when you were like 15 and you were really embarrassed? It's like,
Yes.
why are we thinking about this right now? Why
For
now? What is
sure.
happening?
Yes.
And so I think that like, there is something to how often are you spending just time kind of not keeping your mind super busy and like paying attention to those thoughts. And also like we are the ones that are giving our own thoughts meaning. Like I
Yes.
could conjure up that thought and it's like, okay, but like who cares? I'm 30 something years old and no longer 15 and don't have to be embarrassed about that anymore. So like it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Um so like, how do we get to a place where we can kind of tell ourselves like, let that just roll off of our backs and not put that much weight on it.
Absolutely. Especially because there's so many thoughts that we think in a day anyway that pass and go that are like involuntary too.
Hmm.
So you're just like, okay, just let that one keep on going. You
Off it
came and
goes.
I'm not going to like latch on to you. It's like,
Hmm.
just let it keep going. Fine.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. And then my last question is, do you think that society, people itself, or the advancement of technology has been more of a leading cause for people seeking companionship, like via the internet or like internet groups or AI? Just because I think about why do we have a need for some of the things that we have as far as like connecting with others? And is
Hmm.
it because of how we treat each other in person, or
Mm.
is it just because we have this advanced technology, so we're just using the technology that we have, to connect with people that we might otherwise not have been able to before?
Yeah. I mean, I think that in general, like connection is really important. And so like I think that the ways in which technology has advanced to allow for connection then also like evolves what our connection looks like. I think at
Mm-hmm.
the core, like connection is very important, but I think that, you know, something maybe might veer off when you look at something like parasocial relationships, for example. Like
Yes.
where has technology increased our like access to people in a way where we think we have a stronger connection that might not actually be based in reality. And so like
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's something to kind of like keep in mind, but I think that doesn't then mean that like all connection that has been enhanced via social media or the internet is all bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like kind of looking at things through a more critical lens, like being mindful of like, can you find like I've made friends through like streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And like some people I have met in person. And so like that's something that I would have never met those people if I never got onto Twitch or like streamed, and like making community with people. So like that's one positive thing that I like view out of the internet and social media that's
Mm-hmm.
positive. But like also on the flip side, like, the amount of time that I spend on other forms of social media or like reading comments, not even necessarily just on my content, but like just in general, it's like, ugh, people are terrible.
Yes.
So yes, I think like I I think striking as much of a balance, whatever, and it doesn't have to be like there's no perfect balance for every single person, but like you have to
Mhm.
figure out what works for you. Um, but like I think sometimes that connection is really needed and important, especially when you like align on certain experiences that might be like very unique and harder to find in person. So it is like this, it feels
Mm-hmm.
like this like kismet like thing of like, wow, like we found each other, like this group found each other, and it feels really nice to be seen in that way. But again, I think like, like taking everything with a grain of salt, trying to keep a more critical thinking mind about some of these interactions and connections that you're finding.
Yeah, I agree. Random side note, I love the word kismet. It's just such a
Oh,
great
really?
word. It's just such a great word. But I agree with you just because like you said, there are certain niche interests that you can find that other people also enjoy, via the internet. But it is the whole parasocial thing. Like I think we just sometimes also have too much access to each other,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
it's just an interesting thing to then with the parasocial people feel like they know you when they don't, and so they feel like they can say whatever they want to say to you, and it's like
Hmm.
we've never even met
Mm-hmm.
in person.
Yeah.
Coupled with the whole bot situation, it's like who is even saying these comments, and are you real? you know
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
I can't remember if I mentioned it on here. I know I mentioned it on stream and like reposted it, but on
Mhm.
on Instagram now they have these like AI accounts that you can spark conversations with, and
Yeah.
like they're really fucking weird. Like one of them is like a pig. It
What?
was like a pig persona. That was like the first one I saw. And I was like, please remove this feature. I never want to fucking see this ever again. And then
Ever?
another one was
Oh god, hold
I don't
on.
remember the name of the pig, but I do remember the other one. It was Laborn James.
Stop it.
And it was like an AI picture of LeBron.
It was really
Stop it right
fucking
now.
weird.
Yeah,
Truly,
LeBron.
I shit you not. Like it was,
Laborn.
I'm like, who asked for this? Who needs to talk to weird AI, like not, yeah, like
Anything,
any of
yeah.
this, anything.
No.
Yeah.
Just
Even the
fucking weird.
even the like what the little meta little circle that I sometimes accidentally press on
Oh my God,
Instagram, like
I
scrolling
Yeah,
shit
fucking
so
yeah,
fucking
uh-huh.
annoying.
hate that. I'm like, please go away. I wasn't asking you a question. I was
I
never
wasn't
asking
asking
you
you
a
a question.
question.
I don't want to talk to you. I want to remove this feature. Like
Yeah.
that, and that's also the thing too. It's some of those features we need to be able to keep or remove them. It's like, yeah,
Yes.
if you want it there,
The fact
great,
that
but
I
don't
can't
force it on
get
me.
rid of whatever Google's AI is called in all of
Yes.
Oh,
my Gmail
Gemini.
accounts,
Yeah.
because it freaks me out, especially in my like business email account. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want AI to like rifle through anything. Like this is supposed to be HIPAA compliant. Like HIPAA
Yes.
and AI have not yet figured out how they will coexist, nor do I think
Wow.
AI should really have anything to do with any like HIPAA data.
That part.
So why are we here? Like what
Yeah.
the fuck is happening here? It's
I didn't even
super
think
weird
about
to
that.
me.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
so
Freaks me out.
fucking awkward. Yeah.
Freaks me the fuck out. We're like, I feel like it's getting wildly close to if it hasn't already accessed people. I am almost 100% certain that like people have I know therapists are using AI for a variety of things. There's no way that people haven't already dumped clients' personal health information into ChatGPT to be like, write my note for me. Like, I know that that's happening. So, like, it just like scares the shit out of me that
Yeah.
there's already too much information that these
Too
things
much.
have.
Like we are advancing as a society. I think we're at the cap.
Questionably.
Like, I think we could
we've
stand to lose some stuff.
the just because we can doesn't mean we should threshold.
Mhm.
Like we're far
Absolutely.
beyond that.
We're like in Jurassic Park land. We're like
100%.
we gotta stop.
In Jurassic Park.
Unrelated to this, there is one thing that I wanted to say about spoilers.
Yes.
Mm.
This movie is also called Companion. Like
Yeah.
a part of the title spoils part of this movie as well, depending on what way you're looking at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I
like,
agree.
it's not like this movie was called like Love. Like which would I think this movie suffers and it benefits from its title. I think because I was thinking about the title card for this, and it was fine over the mountains. But like if this was called something a little bit maybe not more generic, but something maybe more human, I think that would have been a little bit more interesting than like this movie is called Companion. You know what I mean?
Agree.
I don't know.
I agree. But overall, still a fun time. We all had a fun little time watching it. Great. Anything else? Should we Rotten Tomato this?
Rotten Tomato.
Let's do the Rotten Tomato.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game.
Okay, what do you think this has on Rotten Tomatoes? Jamie, why don't you go first?
77.
Okay, Nikisha?
I'll say 79.
This is a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
And an 89 popcorn meter, which is the audience score. And the critics' consensus is a fiendishly clever contraption that doesn't rest on the laurels of its twists. Companion thrillingly puts the demented into domestic bliss.
Okay.
I think that's a stupidly written sentence,
Yes.
but I agree with it. I agree that it doesn't.
You're fucking stupid, but
yeah,
it's fine.
I don't disagree with the fact that like it doesn't rely on the twist to be an exciting movie.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then the audience says, Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher serve a delightfully twisted feast with gusto in Companion, delivering stylish gore that satisfies the senses.
Yeah.
Whatever, AI.
Whatever, AI.
All right, what do you think this has on Letterboxd? Again, this 0 to 5 with decimal points. Nikisha,
I accidentally saw the score.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, for Letterboxd.
Jamie, can you guess it?
3.2.
3.5. It's actually a 3.47 rounded up.
Oh.
So here are the 3 most popular reviews. At number 3, I think men should be born into prison and have to earn their way out.
Ha! Wow, what a sentence.
Fuck, that's so fucking funny.
Liked from afar.
At number 3, Terminator, but for the girls and gays.
Yes. Yes.
That's good. Yes.
Excellent.
And then the number 1 most popular review of this is Beep Boop is an absolutely diabolical pet name.
Oh, I think I read that, and that's where the word diabolical got stuck in my brain. Fuck.
But accurate.
It's so funny.
So accurate.
Some 2 recent ones. I like the name Iris. And then Happy International Women's Day.
Yes.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Should we do the 4 S's?
Yes.
Yeses, beep boop.
Skull, scare, shakes, and suggestions. The Talking Horns 4 S's.
Yeah, beep boop. Beep
The
bop,
4
boop.
S's are skulls, scares, shakes, and suggestions. We are going to rate the skulls 1 through 10, how well this handles mental health and human behavior. Scares, how scary was it? Shakes, can you shake it off? This is a 1 and done. And then, of course, we're going to do our suggestions. But Jamie, why don't you start us off with your 4 S's, or 3 of the 4, I should say.
Sure.
That's what I should say. So I will.
That is what you should say. For Skulls, I gave it a 6.5. Because I feel like it's a mixed bag between like, would people actually do this? Like me asking that, and also maybe me just being like, oh, that's so annoying that like I can't. Maybe I'm just annoyed by that behavior, that I decreased the score. But like maybe it is more realistic. For Scares, I gave it a 3. And again, I don't think this movie is particularly jump scary, but like there's some things that it made me feel really bad, so that boosted my score. And for Shakes, I gave it a 5.5. I think partially because of like recency bias. I do think it was really good. But looking at my suggestions, I feel like my suggestions will probably come top to mind for like this type of movie over this particular movie.
Sure.
But I will wait before we get into that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nikisha?
I gave it a 6 for Skulls. People felt like they were peopling. 1 for Scares, though, and a 6 for Shakes.
Okay. I also gave this a 6 for Skulls. I gave this a 2 for Scares because I think the existential versus the hand in the car door definitely got me there. And I gave this a 7.5 for the for Shakes because I think it's really good. And I think it's a well-made, excellent movie. So far, it's my favorite one of the year of the 2 we've seen. But yeah, I so that's where I kind of land on it. I only have one suggestion. It's not a horror movie. Maybe it is per se, but it's Ex Machina.
That's one of mine.
Yeah, Ex Machina is a fantastic movie that is way more interesting in how it leans into its thematic, so I wish this movie had leaned more into the themes of what it was doing and trying to say versus Ex Machina, which like does it really well.
Nice. I haven't seen that. Has anybody seen Her by Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one.
I was just thinking of robot movies, but
what's anything else, Nikisha?
Yeah, Stepford Wives.
Oh, that's a great one.
And which I recently watched within the last like 5 or 6 years. I'm like, oh, this is a great movie.
The original or the remake?
The Nicole Kidman remake. I guess that's the remake.
Oh man, you should read some shit about that movie. That movie is like for people. That movie is like that movie was not well received.
Oh man, okay.
Just the plot holes in it make anyway. This is the tangent. We're not just talking about it. Anyway, yes.
But I didn't know. I really didn't know much about it going into it, so I had a good time watching it. And then we already mentioned Megan and iRobot, but also Westworld, the TV show.
Oh sure,
yeah, that's it.
I never finished it.
Me either.
I think I just watched the first season.
Yeah. Also, the Westworld movie that it's partially based on is very good.
Oh, nice! I didn't know it was a movie. Okay. Work. Jamie, did you have any more?
So you mentioned Ex Machina. It also kind of has like Fresh vibes.
Oh yeah.
Oh sure, yeah.
It also reminded me of Don't Worry, Darling.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it also kind of gave me Bodies vibes. With like
it definitely did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I got that feeling from it too.
Those were mine.
Cool.
Gorgeous. Well, that wraps up our episode of Companion. You can follow us on the socials, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. Maybe one day we'll post on there.
Maybe.
Fun time. Maybe. And producer Brian, where can they listen to us?
You can listen to us wherever you get podcasts. So places like YouTube. Hi, YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Rate and review us there. 5 stars, please.
And thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I guess that's it. Bye, beep boops.
Bye, beep
Bye, beep
boop.
boops.
Bye, beep boops.
Have a good night, beep boop.
Go to sleep, beep
beep
boobs.
boop.
Bye. Right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.